Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
Welcome to another deep dive, everybody. You know how much we all love to get to the bottom of things? And today we're going to unpack a popular technique for doing just that.
The 5 whys.
The 5 whys, yeah. And to really bring this to life, we're going to use the example of the Jefferson Memorial to illustrate how this simple but powerful technique can help uncover those root causes of problems.
It's a good one.
It's so good. And I was reading about this in Mind Tools and in the book Toyota Kata.
Two good sources, yeah.
Yeah, excellent sources, right?
Right.
And I thought this was a really great way to illustrate it because everyone can imagine
Jefferson Memorial.
the Jefferson Memorial. They can picture it.
Absolutely.
And so I'm really excited to dig into this.
Yeah.
So I guess, first of all, what are the 5 whys?
So the 5 whys is a critical thinking technique to help you get to the root cause of a problem
Right.
by repeatedly asking why. Like a curious 5-year-old, just relentlessly asking why.
Like my kids.
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah, it's that kind of thing, but it's a structured approach.
Okay, so it's not just like, I spilled my coffee. Why? Because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
No, why were you paying attention? Because I was thinking about this problem. So why were you thinking about this problem? You can...
That's a great example. Yeah, you could keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
It's really about understanding the chain of events that led to that incident.
Right.
And sometimes that's 2 whys, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 10.
Got it.
It depends on the complexity of the problem.
Okay, so the 5 whys is kind of like just the catchy name
That's that.
to kind of get you in the mood.
Exactly. Yeah, just keep asking why until you get to a point where you can actually take action and make a difference.
Okay, so it's not about the number 5,
Not necessarily, no.
but just that repeated questioning
Yeah,
to get to that root cause.
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
True.
Well, I guess let's set the stage here with the Jefferson Memorial.
Yeah.
What was going on? What was the problem?
So the Jefferson Memorial was built in the 1940s, and over time, the stone started to deteriorate. And they tried a number of different things to try to fix it.
Like what?
Well, they tried repainting it, but the paint would just peel off,
Okay.
and it was very expensive.
Yeah.
And they tried other more expensive solutions, and nothing seemed to be working.
So they were kind of at a loss.
They were, yeah.
Okay.
They were starting to get a little desperate.
So they decided to try these 5 whys.
Well, they didn't call it the 5 whys back then.
Oh, really?
It was Toyota
right.
who really popularized this method.
Okay, so this was just their approach to problem solving.
Exactly.
Got it.
So they started asking why.
Okay.
And the first why was, why is the stone deteriorating?
Okay, makes sense.
And the answer was, well, it's because we're power washing it every 2 weeks
Okay.
to get rid of all the bird droppings.
Oh, so they thought it was the bird droppings that were causing the stone to deteriorate.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems logical, right?
Yeah. So problem solved, get rid of the birds,
Right.
case closed, we can all go home.
You would think so.
So what did they do? They put up a big sign, no birds allowed?
Well, they actually tried netting the building
Oh, really?
to keep the birds away,
Interesting.
but the birds just found ways around the nets.
Of course, those birds are clever.
Yeah, they are.
And it probably didn't look very nice.
No, it didn't.
A big net around
Yeah.
the Jefferson Memorial.
Yeah, so that wasn't a good solution.
So they're back to square one.
Back to the drawing board.
Okay, so what did they do next?
Well, they kept asking why.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
next why was, why are we power washing it every 2 weeks?
Oh, right.
And the answer was because there are so many bird droppings.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So it seems like the birds are the problem,
Right.
but they had to dig a little deeper.
So they asked, why are there so many birds?
Exactly.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
And the answer was that the birds were coming to feed on spiders.
What spiders?
Yes, spider.
At the Jefferson Memorial.
That's right.
I never would have thought.
It's not something you typically associate with a national monument.
No, not at all. This is getting really interesting now.
Yeah, it is.
So what happened next?
Well, they had to ask, why are there so many spiders? And the answer was because they were feasting on all the insects.
The insects.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've got insects involved.
Right.
This is like a whole ecosystem going on here.
It is, yeah, a little microcosm.
So, where do we go from here?
Well, why are there so many insects?
Okay, yeah. Why so many insects?
And the answer was because they were attracted to the lights that illuminated the memorial at night.
The lights?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
So all this time, the real culprit was the lights.
The lights.
That's amazing.
It is pretty amazing.
Who would have thought?
Right. So by asking why 5 times, they were able to get to the root cause of the problem.
Which is the lights.
The lights.
Wow.
And it's a much more effective solution than trying to get rid of the birds or the spiders.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it addresses the root cause.
So what do they do? Did they just turn off all the lights?
Yeah. Well, they couldn't turn off all the lights because it's a national monument
Of course.
and people want to see it at night.
Yeah.
But they were able to reduce the lighting by 90%.
Wow, 90%. That's a lot.
It is.
And did that solve the problem?
It did, yeah. They saw a significant reduction in the number of insects.
And spiders.
And spiders.
Yeah.
And birds.
And bird droppings.
And bird droppings, and therefore they didn't need to power wash the memorial as often.
And the stone stopped deteriorating.
That's right.
That's incredible.
It is, yeah. It's a great example of how the 5 whys can help you find a simple and effective solution to a complex problem.
And they save money on electricity, too.
Exactly. A win-win all around.
So it's not just about finding the solution, it's about finding the right solution.
Absolutely.
The one that addresses the root cause.
That's right.
Okay, so we've talked about the 5 whys in terms of problem solving.
Right.
But I know that it can also be used for other things like process improvement.
That's right.
And even personal growth. So how does that work?
Well, it's the same principle. You just
Yeah.
keep asking why.
Okay.
But instead of asking why is this problem happening,
Right.
you ask why do we do things this way?
Okay, so for process improvement.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that.
Or for personal growth, you might ask why do I want to achieve this goal?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it can help you understand your motivations and identify any obstacles that might be in your way.
So it's like a tool for self-reflection.
It is.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it can be really powerful because it helps you get to the heart of what's really important to you. It can be really powerful.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of times we just kind of go through life on autopilot,
Yeah.
and we don't really stop to think about why we're doing the things we're doing.
Absolutely.
Or why we want the things we want. So this is a really good way to kind of force yourself to think about those things.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the benefits of the 5 whys.
Yeah.
But are there any potential pitfalls?
Well, like any tool, it can be misused.
If you're not careful, you can end up going down a rabbit hole
Yeah.
and asking why about things that aren't really relevant to the problem.
Right.
So it's important to stay focused.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of like you need to know when to stop asking why.
Exactly.
Because at some point, you're going to get to a point where it's just not helpful anymore.
That's right.
Like if you keep asking why you're going to end up at the Big Bang.
Yeah. Or the meaning of life,
Right.
which is a whole other deep dive.
Yeah, exactly.
You go.
So I guess the key is to use the 5 whys as a tool,
Right.
not as the way to avoid taking responsibility
Absolutely.
or to blame other people.
Yeah, it's not about finding fault.
Right.
It's about finding solutions.
Okay, cool. Well, I think this has been a really great deep dive.
Yeah, it has.
I've learned a lot about the 5 whys,
Me too.
and I'm definitely going to start using it in my own life.
Awesome.
So thanks for joining me.
It was a pleasure.
And thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.